Good morning, everyone. I just thought I would take you outside so you could see. We did get that snow, and oh boy, did we get the snow. We probably got about 12 inches of snow, and it was that really wet, heavy snow. But my husband didn't have any work that evening because they had canceled all of the runs, and that's a good thing because you don't need to be driving 2 hours across Interstate 90 in that kind of weather. But there was just a whole lot of thunder and lightning and high winds, and then the power went out, and yeah, we spent most of the next day without any electricity. So today it's going to be kind of a day for me to catch up on things that I should have been doing, you know, washing and drying and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, a little bit of work to do today, but I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I hope that you will want to join me for my day, because what I want to do is I'm going to try a recipe that is from Danielle Walker's Against All Grain, and it is a banana with chocolate chips. It's a muffin. And so our church has Easter breakfast, and we each are to bring stuff. So I thought, well, hey, I'm going to try out this recipe, and yeah, we'll see if it's good enough for me to take with me on Easter morning. Anyways, I'll talk to all of you in just a little while. Now, as I said earlier, this recipe is a Paleo recipe and is from Against All Grain, Danielle Walker's cookbook. And this is called a banana muffins with chocolate chip streusel topping. So it takes 4 medium eggs brought to room temperature, 3 tablespoons of honey, which is optional, but if your bananas aren't too sweet, you're definitely going to need it. A teaspoon of vanilla, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil that's been softened, a half a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, a half a cup of coconut flour, 1/4 cup of blanched almond flour, half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a teaspoon of baking soda, a half a teaspoon of salt, 3 overly ripe bananas, we're talking brown spots, and 1/4 cup of milk of your choice. It could be coconut milk, it can be almond milk, it can be regular milk, and 1/4 cup of chocolate chips, and those are optional. For the streusel, we are going to use 1/4 cup of pecans, a tablespoon of honey, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and 2 tablespoons of chocolate chips. Anyways, in my bowl here, I have placed my coconut oil, my honey, and my vanilla, and I'm supposed to just mix this up until it's a little light and fluffy. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll bring you back when this is ready. To give you an idea of what this looks like, it really does come out very creamy. So I was a little surprised. I don't know why, but I was. So what we're going to do now is we are going to add our eggs in one at a time. And one of the things that she had emphasized is to follow the directions completely. You really do need to add your eggs in one at a time. And then we're going to add in our apple cider vinegar. And she said that the way that you add the ingredients is what's going to help your muffins to cook well and to rise. So figured, yeah, we better pay attention to that then. So I'll just go ahead and I will add my eggs in one at a time. And it also said scraping down the bowls as you need it. So I'll just go ahead and continue doing this, and I'll add my 4 eggs, because yeah, you know what that looks like, right? And I'll bring you back. So now that I have all 4 of my eggs entered, This is just half a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar that I'm going to put in here. Now in this bowl I have all my dry ingredients. I have my coconut flour, my almond flour, my baking soda, and my salt. And I'm just to mix this up a little bit. And we are going to slowly incorporate these dry ingredients into this wet ingredients. And with this one we do need to make sure that we keep scraping down the sides of the bowl. Whoops, turned that one the wrong way. So I'm going to scrape down this bowl. And now what else it said is that we were to take 3 overly ripe bananas with a half a cup of milk of your choice, and we were to mash that together to what would be considered a baby food consistency. Now they said to smash it with a fork. Well, I was doing that and it was taking forever, so I just took out my hand beater and it was done really quickly. And I also want to say that I am using my frozen bananas. I always get some bananas really ripe and stick them in my freezer. So that is what I am using. And according to the directions now, we are to actually turn this off and we are just going to fold these ingredients into this. So I'm going to go ahead and move this and I will be right back. So this is when I'm just going to go ahead and put these in here. This is also the time that I would be adding my chocolate chips if I want chocolate chips to be also inside, and I do. So that was 1/4 cup. Whoops! Almost lost those, didn't I? We're just to gently fold the ingredients together. Now I already have my oven at 350, so that's where we need to be, and I already have my pans with my liners. Okay, that looks like it's pretty well mixed and folded together. And so now we just spoon them into our muffins. And can you believe that this recipe did not tell me how many muffins this was supposed to make? It didn't say anything about the amount. So I've never made this before. I just wanted to find something that was going to be healthy and nutritious. So I thought I'd just go ahead and give this one a try. All right, that's a little bit better, isn't it? Now another thing that she had mentioned, I thought this was really interesting. She said that the baking soda and the apple cider vinegar is what activates and allows these to rise, because it's not your traditional flours with gluten. And I just thought that was really interesting, because she said, so you have plenty of time to make sure that, you know, you're filling them and all that, but don't wait to put them in the oven and start cleaning up. Get them in the oven right away, so that that reaction then, you know, is still going on, because it'll stop. But then it says that we are to top this with this mixture that we had of 1/4 cup of chopped pecans, tablespoon of honey, the cinnamon, and the chocolate chips. And so you just kind of top them a little bit, I guess, with this mixture. And I know it, I'm sorry, but I find using my fingers and my hands just is so much easier than trying to use a spoon. So yeah. When I make them for the church, I will wear gloves. Or I'll use a spoon. There we are. And we are to put these in the oven, and it says that they're going to bake for about 20 minutes and that they should be lightly browned with a toothpick inserted, comes out clean. That's when we know if they're done. And my hands are a little dirty. Anyways, I'll show you what they look like in just a little bit. Our scripture today is 2 Peter chapter 2, verses 1 to 3. But there were also false prophets among the people, even as there will be false teachers among you, who will secretly bring in destructive heresies, even denying the Lord who bought them, and bring on themselves swift destruction. And many will follow their destructive ways, because of whom the way of truth will be blasphemed. By covetousness they will exploit you with deceptive words. For a long time their judgment has not been idle, and their destruction does not slumber. Lately, I've noticed that many believers are biblically untaught and easily drawn to many of the popular Christian books and pastors and teachers and speakers in Christian culture. And many of these teachers and pastors and leaders are popular today, not because they hold sound doctrine, but it's the opposite. False doctrine is often attractive. Some of the most dangerous doctrines do not usually stand out at first glance because they appeal heavily to our emotions and desires. And that clouds our spiritual judgment. And they are often hidden amongst the smaller truths so that they become insignificant. But as we read in today's scripture verse, false teaching, it's been happening throughout all of church history. We also see that the teaching is introduced in deceitful ways, whereas the teachers prey on their pupils' emotional and their financial vulnerabilities, with the knowledge that they will be drawn to a false message of comfort, prosperity, and self-confidence. Modern society has infiltrated Christian culture with its philosophies about truth, about tradition and Christianity, to the extent that people are convinced that the difference between sound and false teaching is not really all that important. But many years ago, a dear Christian teacher taught us that we are never to sacrifice righteousness for unity. Unfortunately now, righteousness is sacrificed for the sake of unity. Unity is seen as something higher than and distinct from truth. Don't accept everything that you hear as sound and doctrinal truth. It is essential that we become biblically literate. And it is essential that we practice discernment where doctrine is concerned. We must be a Berean. As Acts 17:11 says, now the Berean Jews were of more noble character than those in Thessalonica, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if what Paul said was true. And with that, I want to remind you, life happens. Let's enjoy it. And I want you to think about that verse I just read in Acts. They checked the scriptures daily to see if what Paul said was true. If they needed to make sure the Apostle Paul was true, we need to make doubly sure that what we are hearing is also true. God bless, and I will talk to you tomorrow.